Kia ora, my name is Wildcard. Welcome back to my channel. Super Rugby Pacific 2022 Grand Final. Blues versus Crusaders. Eden Park. Ben, the cheat O'Keefe, was the referee. And yeah, the Blues has waited a long time since King Carlos to win another Super Rugby title. And you know what they say? Winning is a habit. Winning is a culture. And you just cannot build that winning mentality, winning culture. The finals performance out of a team in just, a couple seasons. Even with King Bowden back in the team, it's just not enough. Not enough to get across the line. You can visibly see the difference between the players on the field. The Crusaders look comfortable, look confident, look like, this is exactly where they belong in the finals. They've been here so many times. Everybody looks super comfortable. It was almost like a homecoming. Looked like for the Crusaders, everybody just looks so comfortable on the field. Whereas for the Blues, half the team looked like deers under the bright light. Eyes wide open, not sure what was going on. Eklund, he's had a pretty poor season, to be fair, in his line-out throws, but he was never exposed this badly by the Crusaders. Yeah, he got away the whole season with pretty poor line-out throws, just because, the opposition really didn't challenge it that much. And this game, that really came to haunt him. The amount of lineouts that was lost by the Blues game is comical. Like, literally, I have never seen a professional team lose this many lineouts. Just quickly have a look at the stats here. 10 lineouts lost. And I think about 7 of them what Eklund was throwing. And then there was like another 3 in the second half when he was subbed off. But 10 lineouts lost. I have never seen a professional team this poor in their own lineout throws. Like, I don't even know an amateur team could be this bad. Honestly, it was just embarrassing. It was really, really embarrassing and painful to watch. So that was one of the biggest points. Scott Barrett and Sam Wylock from the Crusaders side, just really showing the veteran instinct, the championship qualities, World Cup winning qualities, just really able to get that line-out timing for the Blues throws again and again and again and again, disrupting it, stealing it outright. Was just unbelievable performance by the both players. And also, there was a very clear strategy from the Crusaders to rush the defense and force the Blues into a kicking game. Yeah, so the rush defense was excellent by the Crusaders. There was a lot more urgency in that defense with the Crusaders as well. A lot more urgency at the breakdown for the Crusaders, both in defense and attacking. And this was visibly played into the advantage for the Crusaders when it comes to going forward and keeping the Blues going backwards when they were attacking. So there was a huge difference in urgency from the 4-pack. It really got the Blues overwhelmed. And also the Crusaders, when they did get the ball, they had like so many different attacking options. So like the attack patterns were so unpredictable. They were happy to utilize the full length of the field almost every play. And it was just beautiful to watch when the Crusaders were attacking, spreading the ball out wide to the dangerman. Fayanga Nuku was just paying off dividend. Just got announced to be part of the All Blacks team, and he's basically stepped up his game. This was the best performance by Fayanga Nuku for the entire season. He's probably trying to make a claim for the starting jersey for the All Blacks, and this performance was way better than anything he's ever done throughout the season. Being able to link up with his players, just nice offloads that I haven't really seen before, like backhanded flick offloads, setting up his players for line breaks, and also just his hard running down the sideline, hard running in general play was excellent. Also, there was another clash of style in center field in the 12 position. So the Blues, and this is something that I kind of thought about in the All Black selection as well. What kind of what style do you want to play out of the 12 position? So there's generally 2 styles. One is like the hard running Sonny Bill Williams style, big front, big hard defense, being able to shut down the opposition attack before they get to the advantage line. And also hard running offloads, being able to just charge through and commit a 2 or 3, even 2 or 3 defenders and still get the offload off and getting over the advantage with big hard running, the Sonny Bill Williams styles. That's the style that the Blues try to play with RTS, with almost no success at all. The rush defense was just way too much for him to get anywhere in the front foot. He had like one run, maybe 2 runs the whole game. Hardly looked good at all. And then the style that the Crusaders opted to play for the whole season, they've been kind of building up to this as well, is David Havili playing like a second 5A role. This is more of the style that the Australians like to play, like, my team likes to play. We tend to play, Matt Giddo at second 5A. We like to play like Matt Tamura at second 5A, like the number 12 position. Eddie Jones really likes this, having an extra kicker at the 12 position. And then this is basically what the Crusaders had for this game. They had David Havili really building up to this day. I've seen him doing the kicking throughout the season, and every week I'm like, that's a bad kick. Like, that's not really good. But today, his kicking was good. Believe it or not, he's actually became a legitimate second 5'8" kicking style of player. Like, he's always been that kind of like pigeonholed into that hard running, like I was talking about, Sonny Bill Williams style of play last year for the All Blacks, and he just didn't show that for the All Blacks. He had some success against lower tier teams and against like good defensive big bulk teams. He just didn't have the success of breaking through the gang line. And so then this year, noticeably, he's been doing that kicking game for Scott. What is it? What was his name? Scott. What was it? A Razor. Anyways, Scott Robinson, right? He's been doing that for Scott Robinson, and for the whole season, I'm like, yeah, that's not that clinical. His kicking hasn't been that clinical, and a lot of times he just almost looked like he ran out of like ideas and he doesn't kick, right? Because normally the Crusaders have Will Jordan and Richie Muonga doing the kicking duties. So when he gets the ball, he doesn't kick. He looks like he's just like out of idea. But this game, he managed it really, really well. He did those kicking to just relieve pressure for Richie Muonga as a support, and those kicks are really much better than, more clinical than he did before in his previous matches. So big thumbs up for David Havili for that number 12 position, potentially for the All Blacks. So this is really good for the All Blacks. So you have now an extra additional play style out of your backline for that 12 position, with Havili really developing into something else than we've seen from last year. And finally, as a result of the lineouts, the Crusaders, so basically there was a clear shift in the attacking, mentality for the Crusaders about 20 minutes into the game, when they realized the Blues lineouts was just an absolute joke. So the Crusaders really started leaning towards more and more of those kicking, because they know even if the Blues have to do one of their lineouts inside their own 22, it's a high chance they're going to steal it or disrupt that. So they just ended up really piling on the kicking game. And like I was mentioning, Havili was doing really well. I think he kicked a 50-22. And he really just, they didn't even need the 50-22. The Blues were just handing the ball over to the Crusaders inside their own 22 again and again. It was an absolute disaster, the Blues lineout. So there was a clear shift in their attacking options. So the Crusaders initially was pretty happy to run the ball. And it was very restrained on kicking for the first 20 minutes. Even it looked like they were happy to run the ball out of their own 22, which I thought was very dangerous. So then, as soon as they realized the Blues lineout was a joke, you can clearly see the shift from a running game, a very heavy running game, into a very heavy kicking game for the Crusaders. And that proved to be a big difference towards the end. The Crusaders absolutely dominated the overall kicking count, and just firm control of the game from the go, with just good game, good game sense overall. And for the Blues, I don't know what else to say. The Bowden Barrett really didn't get that many opportunity with the rush defense on him. He was lured into the kicking game, exactly what the Crusaders wanted, because of the rush defense. And his kicking for the Blues just hasn't been that clinical. The pressure from the kicking follow up Bowden's kicking was really not there for the Blues, to be quite frank. There was just not enough pressure from the kicking from the Blues, and the Crusaders is more than happy to take the time and decide whether they want to do another return kick or run the ball. And it was really outplayed. The Blue it was. So overall, the stats. Let's take a quick look. So 2 tries to 1 for the Crusaders. The Crusaders had the game firmly controlled for the entire game. There was one point where the Blues were able to score due to a Crusader mistake and a scrum. And that was literally because the Crusaders just subbed off. Like, the halfback was subbed off. And then I think there was a couple of forwards that was put on as well. So literally there was a mistake. I thought that was a mistake for the coach's part, putting on like fresh players when the Crusaders had to do like a 5-meter line out. Defensive line out, and then sorry, not line out, the 5 meter, it's pretty much like a 5-meter defensive scrum for the Crusaders, and that scrum goes awry. Basically, that's when the Blues were able to score their one and only try. It was basically the only opportunity the Blues had of breaking through the Crusaders line. The handling from the Blues was also a lot worse. The Crusaders able to link up with the players, utilizing the full length of the field, faster breakdowns, everything was just way better than the Blues in every aspect of the game. So overall stats, 504 run meters for the Crusaders, 400 for the Blues. At halftime, Crusaders were leading run meters, 293 to the Blues, 151. So almost doubling the run meters at halftime already for the Crusaders. The full time carries 134 for the Blues, 95. Again, halftime the Crusaders almost doubling the carry count for over the Blues. So 62 carries for the Crusaders, 37 for the Blues, 15 defenders beaten at halftime already for the Crusaders, 5 for the Blues. So the second half was much better for the Blues. They caught up quite a bit in terms of defenders beaten, 13 defenders beaten for the Blues, and 19 defenders beaten overall for the Crusaders. So Crusaders only beaten 4 defenders in the second half, whereas the Blues beaten 7. But Crusaders ran away with 15 in the first half. Turnovers conceded pretty high for both teams actually. 18 turnovers against the Blues, 19 against the Crusaders. At halftime, the Blues conceded 6 turnovers and the Crusaders conceded 10. Tackle count, man, this is just brutal. 216 tackles for the Blues. Halftime, 111 already for the Blues, and the Crusaders 141 overall. At halftime, 46 tackles had to make tackles for the Crusaders. 16 missed tackles already for the Blues. 5 missed tackles for the Crusaders at halftime. At full time, the Crusaders missed 8 tackles in the second half, whilst the Blues only missed 3 in the second. So the Blues defense actually got better, but overall it was just not really. Like, everything was the Blues. Yeah, it was just not enough. Like, just little things that really wasn't clicking for the Blues, and the line-out was just glaring problem. I can see the kicks in play, 35 kicks for the Crusaders, 20 kicks for the Blues. Crusaders firmly dominated the kicking game, had the game nicely in control for the entire 80 minutes. So this is probably the biggest glaring thing. This is this is mind-blowing, right? The Blues had 19 lineouts and they lost 10. They lost more lineouts than they've won. Less than 50% completion rate in the lineouts, whereas the Crusaders had 100% success rate in their lineouts. Unbelievably bad. There was like 1 scrum penalty against the Crusaders, I thought. And then there was 1 penalty against the Blues overall. Penalties conceded, 7 penalties conceded for the Blues, 9 penalties conceded for the Crusaders. So if you take the lineouts out, right, the Blues actually had like better stats like elsewhere, right? But yeah, this was just absolutely horrendous. Like, Eklund just looked like he's never played rugby before. Like someone, who's never played a big game in his life, completely, shit the bed. And, the game was, there was, the Blues had hardly any opportunity. That the only try they had was the result of Crusaders' mistake. So let's quickly go to some of the key points at the beginning. So right from the beginning, the game's like really tight. Both teams had opportunities in attacking, and it looked like both teams were happy to not play the kicking game at the beginning. Both teams would try to run the ball out their own 22. And then eventually, the Crusaders slowly starting to build more pressure over the Blues. And it is because the Blues starting missing their own lineouts. So basically it took the Crusaders was building a lot of pressure. It took about 10 minutes for Crusaders to finally kind of taking that 50-50 back and forward into a bit of a firm possession in the Blues half. And then they just built a lot of pressure. Fainga Anuku was really good at, like, did some really good running, a nice little offload down the sideline. And then there was, I think it was, can't remember who he was, might have been Seth Reese, who was running down the sideline and he like offload the ball back in field. Cody Taylor was there, he gets tackled onto the corner post and at just like millimeters short from scoring the try. If he could have got his hand free, he just got wrapped on his hand. If he could have his hand free, it would have been a try. But yeah, no try there. But the Crusaders gets the Blues had to just, you know, basically has a 5 meter scrum to clear the ball. The ball goes out about 30 meters. Feeling Chrissy did not look happy. He was like, oh, surely the ball went further. The touch just said it's about 30 meters out. So Crusaders has a 30-meter line out. The ball comes down. The Blues gets penalized for, I think it was for like throwing the play across or something, or maybe playing the play in the air in the line out. But anyway, it was a full-on penalty advantage. The ball goes out to Richie Mwanga. Mwanga goes, all right, I'll just take the drop goal anyway. We've been here long. We've been, you know, I want some points. They kick the three. They slots a drop goal. First 3 points on the board, 12 minutes into the game. Crusaders gets up 3 points to nil with a drop goal. Yeah, this was really, really good. And then from there going forward, Crusaders' dominance really started to build. 14 minutes into the game, Blues loses like another critical line out. Crusaders turns the ball over. David Havili immediately kicks the 50-22. This was absolutely huge. Yeah, then this was like really starting to show, really starting to pay off, having that second kicking option in that 12 position for the Crusaders, and this is really like starting to show. On the 15th minute, Fainga Nuku again did some really good hard running, ball carrying center field. Basically, the Crusaders are piling up pressure. The Fainga Nuku gets the ball. He looked like he was playing like a center, just hard running into the defense. Took 3 players with him. He went down. It looked like he scored. Everybody's celebrating. And then they tried to find the footage of him score. It looked like the ball was like on the ground. And yeah, but the TMO was like, oh, inconclusive. So I thought this was a bit of a bad call by the TMO here. Again, I don't know how much more clear it does have to be. The ball's on the ground and it's on the line. You can see the line and you can see the ball on the ground. There is like arms around it, but it's clearly on the ground. And the referee's like, the TMO's like, yeah, not clear. So this should have been a try, but it was declined. So then following this no try, the Blues really cannot exit their own half. Was really struggling. So the Crusaders just happy to keep it running, and the Blues on the 17th minute, there was a high shot on, I think it was who was it? The two props colliding into each other. I think it was Nipolau Lala hitting George Bauer. Or maybe it was Cody Taylor. But anyway, Nipolau Lala is the one that's in question. He goes kind of like both play were dipping really low, colliding each other, and Nipolau Lala like shoulder clipped the ball carrier on the head. And the referee looked at this and said, well, both players are dipping, and Nipolau Lala was already bending as much as he could. There's not much he can do to mitigate that. So that was play on. I thought this was a good decision. This was the right decision because, like, obviously, what else he can do? Not make the tackle. Like, come on, you can't expect. Like, sure, it's a head contact, but you can't just say that he's not gonna make the tackle just to avoid that. He had to make the tackle, and he's already low enough. Made the right decision there. But a few minutes later, Josh Goodhue gets away with murder. So there was again RTS gets Havili tackles RTS from behind. RTS basically runs face into, like, chest to chest into Josh Goodhue, and Goodhue head clash with RTS. This should have been a yellow card because the mitigating factor is that yes, yes, this head collision, so you will start as a red card, and then the mitigating factor is David Havili is tackling RTS into Josh Goodhue, but Josh Goodhue did not make an attempt to drop his height. He was just standing up straight, and he gets slammed his head into RTS. This should have been a yellow card mitigating down, but Ben O'Keefe, the cheat, says this was not a penalty. He says that David Havili basically tackles RTS into Goodhue, and therefore that's mitigating enough factor for Goodhue to make a terrible tackle and make a head collision. So yeah, so apparently if It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So Goodhue not able to make a right tackle. What do you call it? Not able to make. What is it? Not able to drop his body height. Makes no sense. But anyway, so he says no, that's not even a penalty. Just play on. Really, really bad, Ben O'Keefe. I can't wait till you get sued or like you do this in international rugby and get. I don't know, getting a 63-minute video made about you. I can't wait. It'll be great content for my channel, actually. So yeah, keep it up, Ben. Keep it up. This should have been at least a penalty or even a yellow card. Like, if this was a French referee or any other referee outside of New Zealand, this would have been a yellow card. At least a yellow card. Maybe even a red. Because Goodhue has made no attempt to make the tackle safe. That's the bottom line. Yellow card, minimum. And then the... So yeah, and then it's just like really painful going forward from this point. The Blues actually created a lot of opportunities. So in the 20th minute, there was a nice kick forward by Bowden. There was a lot of pressure on Seth Reese at the fullback. He had to kick the ball out. So there was a Blues 5-meter line out. Ball gets stolen by Sam Whitelock. Yeah. 5-meter line out, attacking line gets stolen. Like a minute later, the Blues had another line out. Basically, the clearance kick from that 5-meter stolen line out ended up with the Blues to a 22-meter line out, which is not that bad. And then the ball, they try to do a maul. The player peels off, gets tackled. Sam Whitelock turns the ball over at the breakdown. Double shift in like 60 seconds. Sam Whitelock steals the ball twice. I cannot believe this, right? I don't know how good this guy has to be to do that, but he gets that. On the 27th minute, the Crusaders gets in the attack, and there was a nice little kick over the top. David Havili gets the ball. He spots a space behind. He chipped the ball over the top. Rishi Muonga recovers, and it looked like the Crusaders carved open the Blues defense with this little kick, but the Crusaders, the Blues managed to scramble, wrap up the Crusaders players, like just about 10 meters out of the try line, and there was a tiny little knock on in the ruck. But luckily, the Crusaders did have penalty advantage going into this. They kicked the 3 points for the penalty. 6 points to nil for the Crusaders. 29 minutes into the game. So yeah, at this point, the Crusaders attack, it's clearly showing more variety, and it's already starting to show a much faster rhythm than the Blues. On the 33rd minute, another little kick behind by the Crusaders. The Blues has to do another 22-meter line out. Again, this line out gets stolen. So yeah, the Crusaders just more than happy for the Blues to do their own defensive lineouts, get stolen, but luckily Hoskins Tutu saves the day with the turnover, the breakdown, immediately after. So at this point, the rush defense by the Crusaders is really starting to show a lot of hang on the Blues. The Blues are like hesitant at this point of passing the ball now because of the rush defense by the Crusaders. On the 36th minute, the Blues gets an opportunity just inside the Crusaders 50. Immediately gets turned over the breakdown. Like literally, they had the ball inside the Crusaders half at this point. Immediately gets turned over, and then the Crusaders, following this, gets themselves on the front foot, start attacking. On the 39th minute, just before halftime, the Crusaders built 14 faces in front of the Blues try line, and then they took another 2 faces. The Crusaders, a nice little inside ball by Mwanga. They're just building up this setup, this play. Mwanga gets the ball, nice little inside ball. I think it was Havili to Mwanga. Who was it that got the ball? I think it was Havili to Mwanga, and Mwanga basically gets tackled like just short. Pablo Matera gets there, picks the ball up, tries to crash over. He gets tackled like on the try line, no try, just on the try line, not able to get over. And then Brent Hall, is it Brent Hall? Yeah, picks up the ball, really quick speed, dots the ball down. Try time on the halftime, basically on the dot of halftime. Crusaders go into halftime, 13 points to nil. That try just before halftime really almost broke the Blues. So second half, again, 3 minutes in the second half, Blues gets a 22-meter line option inside the Crusaders. Inside the Crusaders 22. gets stolen. The oh, sorry, this was actually the other way. The Blues had to do a 22-minute defensive line out, 3 minutes in the game. The Crusaders steals this one, and then start piling on pressure. The Blues get penalized for not rolling away after about 5 phases, and then the Crusader kept on pounding. It wasn't going anywhere. The referee goes back for the penalty advantage. Crusaders kicks another 3. Suddenly the scoreboard opens up 16 points to nil. Only like 3 minutes into the second half, 5 minutes in the second half. And then at this point, the Bryce Him comes on for RTS. I guess the rush defense is really starting to show that RTS wasn't really getting anything done in that center field position, so he gets taken off on the 44th minute. I have never seen this before for the Blues. On the 47th minute, another lost line out. This was another critical one. Again, the Crusaders just happened to kick the ball behind, and then the Crusaders just get the ball back and start piling on pressure again. The Crusaders, after a few phases, gets a penalty advantage for offside. So this was 48 minutes. At this point, it's another one. I could probably kick it. There's a bit of an angle near the sideline, but the Crusaders goes, yeah, we'll take another line out. So this was a really bold decision. The Crusaders, instead of taking the 3, go for the line out, which I was like, whoa. They go for the line out. They go for the maul. The ball goes back in the blindside for Fainga Nuku. He's trying to crash through. He gets tackled just short. And then a few phases later, the Crusaders piling on the pressure. Eventually they get over, but they get held up over the try line. Goal line dropout, so they get saved. In the 53rd minute into the game, Tuanga Fasi is finally on. I'm surprised at this point, like Eklund is still like on. I think it took him about 60 minutes to finally take Eklund off, despite the horrendous lineouts. I don't. He should have been taken off like 20 minutes in the first half. Like this was just stupid at this point. Well, the reserve wasn't that much better, but still. On the 56th minute, Blues finally get themselves some opportunity. The Crusaders try to do like a kick, gets charged down, and suddenly the Blues recovers the ball, start running the ball. They actually got into the Crusaders, just outside the Crusader 22, and then they get turned over at the breakdown. Not enough urgency for the breakdown. Story of the Blues for pretty much the whole game. On the 57th minute, there was another huge run by Papali'i. Again, the Blues, he gets the ball in the back line. It looked like there was a bunch of Crusader players on him. He just put the jet shoes on and ran through 30-40 meters into the Crusaders half. And finally, the Blues getting some momentum following this run, start building some pressure inside the Crusaders 22. And the Crusaders did this little cheating thing again we've seen in some of the Northerner teams do, where Finley Christie gets the ball out. One of the players slaps him on the forearm and he drops the ball. Now this should be changing the laws, because you can't really, basically this player played the halfback from the maul, but because it's not a slap down on the ball, it's actually legal. So Finlay Christie gets his forearm grabbed as he's taking the ball out, and suddenly that was the knock on. But turns out this knock on did not go back. It was played to the favor of the Blues. So the Crusaders, as this scrum was about to pack down, takes off their halfback, takes off Brent Hall, takes off, I think, a couple other players. So a bit of fresh legs out on the field. This was like a scrum 7 meters out, just in front of their own try line. The ball goes to the number 8. I think it was, who was it? Who was the number 8 for the Romano? Was it? No, Grace, Colin Grace. Sorry, Romano plays for the Blues. So the Colin Grace gets the ball. Finlay Christie tackles him, then Colin Grace drops the ball, and there was a mass scramble for the ball, and Finlay Christie just went yoink, picks the ball up himself, runs straight through, and a bunch of Crusaders were trying to cover him, but he gets tackled over the try line, goes in for the first try for the Blues. Suddenly the score, the Blues gets desperate and need to try 7 points to 16. With about 20 minutes left, the Blues could still win the game. It's not out of the reach. But the Crusaders, the championship team, really knows how to manage in a game. On the 64th minute, another penalty for the Blues. Basically, the Crusaders, fresh legs coming off the field, pays off on the 64th minute. A scrum penalty for the Crusaders. This was like 40 meters out, and Crusaders tries to kick 3 points. Richie Mwanga had the accuracy, but it just short. The ball falls under the post, so missed this one. On the 70th minute, another stolen lineout, despite Eklund is already off the field at this point. It did look like the Blues stabilized the lineout a little bit, but no. 70 minutes, Scott Barry shows like why he's so good. Steals this one for the Blues. For the Crusaders. On the 73rd minute, the Crusader Tom Christie makes a huge tackle on the Blues ball runner, and then basically allows the Blues was building momentum inside the Crusaders 22. Just big tackle, put the ball carrier on his back, and then allowed his teammate to turn over the ball. This was a huge get out of jail for the Crusaders once again. 73rd minute with the clock running down. That's the kind of play you really needed for the Crusaders. And yeah, this was pretty much like if the Blues had scored from this pressure, the Crusaders would probably be like under the pump for potentially losing the game. And finally, on the 75th minute, this was game over once again. The Blues was attacking. Sam Wylock gets into the breakdown, turns the ball over, and the Crusaders immediately spreads the ball out wide. And you would not believe this. Pablo Matera has the ball. I thought it was David Havili. Gets the ball in the like basically around the 12 position. He sees the space behind. He grabber kicks the ball through, and the ball just like holds up in front of the try line, like 5 meters out from the try line. Sullivan gets on the field. I don't know why he's even on the field, to be honest. In such a close game, he's on the field. He just came on. He runs in, completely misses this ball, dude. Like, this was really bad. Zan Sullivan, this was really bad for him. He completely misses the ball. The ball just, like, left it on the ground. Xavier Reese says, thanks very much, Zan Sullivan. I'll take it. Picks it up. Free try for the Crusaders. 75th minute. Suddenly, the scoreboard is 21 points to 7. Blues have to score 2 converted tries. Just level the game with 5 minutes. Wasn't going to happen. Yeah, Richie Mwanga didn't get this conversion, but didn't really matter anyway. And yeah, Crusaders, from there going forward, just held on the defense. The Blues tried to get in the last try, was just throwing haymakers with a lot of like unforced errors due to poor passes in the last, 5 minutes or so, trying to get that try through. And yeah, it wasn't going to happen. And that's, yeah, that's the way the game ended. Another championship win for the Crusaders, and the Blues have to wait another 20 years to get another shot at the Super Rugby Championship title. But yeah, oh well. Only 20 years, only like 19 years and 364 days to go, Blues fans. You're almost there. Just 19 years and 364 days to go, mate, for your next shot at the Super Rugby Championship finals. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about this game, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I do appreciate being here. Thanks to all the guys who, support me with the membership down below. If you wanted to give me a couple of bucks every month, helps me a lot. Pay off the electricity or whatever. Hit the join button down below. Otherwise, thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. And have a good weekend. Cheers.